Welcome back. You're with us on Trading Hour. As promised, let's get to that analysis on companies and stocks that are linked to Andhra Pradesh. And with Mr. Chandrababu Naidu now all set to become the next Chief Minister of Andhra Pradesh, the street is betting on Naidu's pro-development focus. And this is leading to excitement on a lot of these stocks. We have Nigel with more details. He's been tracking quite a few of them right from the 4th of June, Nigel.
Well, that's right. We had highlighted about KCP having some exposure to, the belt. That's Andhra Pradesh as well as Telangana. And that stock did very, very well. So we said, let's delve a little bit more into it. Now, Mr. Naidu is set to become Chief Minister yet again. And expectations are that the TDP government, they'll go ahead and they'll revive that Amravati capital plan. Remember, it was talked about in his last avatar as well, or his last tenure as Chief Minister. So they believe that things will be back on the table. And that's why, in fact, you're seeing that some of the cement stocks are rallying. Now, that's the broad number you should be looking at. The bigger name, the biggest name of the cement industry is obviously UltraTech Cement. But in percentage terms, the exposure to AP Telangana is relatively lower. Ramco Cement's close to around 30% of their total capacity is in Andhra Pradesh as well as Telangana. So that one should be on your radar as well. Could explain why the stock has bounced off quite well in the last 2-3 days or so. And Sagar Cements, KCP as well as NCL, they are smaller players, but bulk of their capacities are in this region. And that's why the street is getting excited about them. On a valuation parameter, UltraTech obviously it's the king, so that commands higher valuations. Ramco Cement, I recall at one point of time, used to trade at around $150, $160 per ton. Now, in fact, it trades at around $120 per ton. So on a valuation basis, it's relatively more attractive provided demand comes back. And Sagar as well as NCL, well, they are trading at mouth-watering valuations, as was the case with KCP. Giving you a couple of inputs on each of these companies then. Sagar Cement, the enterprise value on a per ton basis is $49 per ton. The sales volume guidance that they've given is around 6.5 million tons. And some part of the street is very disappointed. When you have capacity of more than 10 million tons, why are you giving only 6.5 million tons? But with this sort of a move coming in and if development, comes to the fore, particularly in Andhra Pradesh, well, then they could very well go ahead and achieve these numbers. And what's more important is they have a capacity of around 10.5 billion tons, which is going to around 11.3. So in case there is big development, they already have the capacity to go ahead and sell their cement as well. The street, though, is waiting for some clarity on a 100-acre land that they have. That was the one that came in with Andhra Pradesh. So that's a trigger because that could bring in close to around 400 crores at around 4 crores per acre. Moving to NCL Industries, another small player, and more than 85% of their total revenue mix is coming in from cement. The boards and the RMC business, they're profit making, but that's too small, so we're keeping that out of it. And those which is only around 1% odd, that's actually currently not making any money. But for the time being, we're focusing on their core business, which is on the cement business. Now, out there, they're expanding capacity from around 2.7 million tons to around 3.5 million tons. In the last couple of years, they have been talking about this, but in the in the previous government, they couldn't go ahead and increase their capacity. Now they've got their clearances. So by September 2025, the capacity will go to around 3.5 million tons. And not valuing the other smaller businesses, but just taking the total enterprise value, it trades at an EV per ton of around $41 per ton. So that as well is quite attractive. So that's another company that you should keep on your radar. And just to recap what we already explained to you earlier in this week, KCP, the capacity is around 4.3 million tons. They have a sugar capacity as well in there. And the total consolidated EV has now moved to around 2,500 crores, 3,000 crores of market cap. You deduct from that the net cash of close to around 500 crores. Now, just solely valuing the cement business itself, if you give it a value of around $70 per ton, then the cement business will be 2,500 crores. That's at the upper end. When we covered it earlier, it was at around 1,800 crores. Now, KCP, besides having a cement business, they have a lucrative business in Vietnam where they're making a good amount of revenue as well as EBIT. So that one, in fact, that explains why that's been one of the biggest movers. So keep an eye on some of these cement players. For the time being, the street believes Mr. Naidu coming back will be pro-development. And that's why all these companies, they are up anything between 8 to 10%. KCP is in a league of its own. All of them are higher in this past week itself. Back to you guys.
Okay, thank you very much for that. He was also seen as quite the tech CEO. He was very bullish on, technology. He managed to get many of these large MNC technology companies to set shop in Hyderabad, because that time it was only Hyderabad, which was the capital of, it was not divided between Telangana and Andhra Pradesh. So, he made Hyderabad the tech, big technology city, And now the expectation is that once again he could
You know,
mobilize
and
forces
Rima,
for
just
that.
to quickly put in, because we need to wrap up, but just to quickly move in as well, even some of these infra-related companies, they believe development is going to be, very, very high. There's not going to be any pending funds, and they're bracing for huge orders, which explains why some of these companies have moved up as well.
Okay, thank you very much for that. Get into a break. On the other side, Dhaval Gara from DSP Mutual Fund will join in to talk about the trends in the BFSI sector.